waste the day wishing it would slow down. You'd have thought by now how to learn something. If I get stuck in low lights, but when love comes in, how far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, many the miles. How far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, oh, but send me the miles, and I'll be happy to. I'll follow you, love. I do what I can wherever I end up to keep giving my good love and keep spreading it around, 'cause I've never been my fair share of goodbyes, and I've learned how to cry, and I'm better for that. Well, how far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, many the miles. Oh, how far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, oh, but send me the miles, and I'll be happy to. Oh, oh, oh. A red letter day and I'm feeling blue, and I wish the blue would, oh, just carry me away, yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been talking to God, I don't know if it's doing any good, but there's something that's got to give, 'cause I keep waiting to live. How far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, many the miles. Oh, how far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, oh, but I'll just take the miles to get to you. Oh, many the miles, many the miles. How far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, oh, many the miles. How far do I have to go? Oh, many the miles, yeah, many the miles. How far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, oh, I'd be happy to. I'll follow you, love. There's too many things that I haven't done, and too many sunsets that I haven't seen.
It's good good to have you with us this morning, and we're kind of just beginning this new thing. We're calling it the Summer of Love. And I know for some of you that creates all kinds of flashbacks, and it brings up all kinds of things, and that's kind of a part of the point of the whole thing. We just want everybody to get into that groove. But this morning as we gather, we turn in gratitude for this day. Now it's hot out. You know, it's hot. Welcome to Texas. It's life. Life is rich, and sometimes it's hot. Let's stand and we'll say thanks. Holy One, as we come into this place, we open our hearts and minds. We might discover in some new way how life can be rich and hot for us. How it can be so hot that it invigorates every part of our body and being. That we might discover how life can be such richness that we feel nothing but gratitude. Even in the midst of the struggles. Open our hearts again, Holy One, this morning in this company of fellow pilgrims, we pray.
Amen. Oh, below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now. Never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, we weekend-trip pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heaven in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sky before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Austin, look at me. Austin,
to get Austin's attention.
In the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was a formless void, and darkness covered the face of the deep, while a wind from God swept over the face of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day. So God created humankind in his image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female, he created them. God said, "See, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food." And it was so. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was all very good. The second reading is from Luke. In those days, Mary set out and went with haste to a Judean town in the hill country, where she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted Elizabeth. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the child leapt in her womb. And Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit and exclaimed with a loud cry, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And why has this happened to me, that the mother of my Lord comes to me? For as soon as I heard the sound of your greeting, the child in my womb leapt for joy. And blessed is she who believed that there would be fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord." And Mary said, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on all generations will call me blessed, for the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. His mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, to Abraham and to his descendants forever."
There's a poem by Rumi that we have often sung or spoken in this celebration, and we wanted to create a version of it that was a little bit more singable for the community. So Tom and I, when we were gathering on Tuesday, pulled out the guitars and came up with this. So we're going to do it for you, and then we want you to sing it with us.
Ideas, wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, I'll meet you there. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, I'll meet you there. And the soul lies down in the grass. The world is too full to talk about ideas and language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. meet you there. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, and I'll meet you there. The soul lies down in that grass. The world is too full to talk about ideas and language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense.
Let's go back to that first verse and try it again.
Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there.
So maybe just for a moment, take a moment, close your eyes. Allow there to be a little place in your life where maybe you can find that field that Remy was talking about. That place beyond ideas where we're always trying to classify everything or stick everything into some kind of box. So much of our time we seem to be busy kind of trying to decide about everything. And that's important too, but maybe there's something to be found in just the stillness of life without those kinds of classifications. Just to experience ourselves as we simply are. To taste a little bit of the garden before the fall. A little bit of that life before we ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Take another deep breath, and as you breathe in, just have a little word of thanks in your heart. And as you breathe out, maybe just feel yourself releasing a little bit of the judgment that's clouded so much of life and clouded our eyes from seeing the preciousness of every moment because it wasn't quite what we expected or wanted. Maybe just let out a little bit of that air that's been stuck in your heart, your lungs for a little too long. Spirits that divide us or keep us from feeling the grace, the gift of the people in our lives or the person that we are. Holy One, it doesn't matter how many times we hear those words, judge not lest you be judged, or hear the words in the gospel that seem to invite us to think about and have
I can see my life before me, running rings around the way it used to be. I am older now, I have more than what I wanted, but I wish that I had started long before I did. So much time to make up everywhere you turn, time we have wasted on the way. So much water moving underneath the bridge. Let the water come and carry us away. Oh, when you were young, did you question all the answers? Did you envy all the dancers who had all the nerve? Round you now, you must go for what you wanted. Look at all my friends who did and got what they deserved. So much time to make up everywhere you turn, time we have wasted on the way. So much water moving underneath the bridge. Let the water come and carry us away. So much love to make up everywhere you turn, love we have wasted on the way. So much water moving underneath the bridge. Let the water come and carry us away. Let the water come and carry us away.
You know, sometimes we talk about faith, we talk about spirituality. I'm not sure there's a big difference between talking about faith and talking about life. In fact, I'm not sure that they should really even be thought about as two separate things. You know, sometimes I think, I encounter lots of people saying, well, I've got a life, but I don't have a faith. I'm not. Faith is not me. Paul Tillich, the theologian, said, faith is ultimate concern. It's a good way to describe what faith is. Faith is ultimate concern. What's your ultimate concern? And what I've found is that often people who tell me, I don't have a spirituality, I don't buy into the faith thing, will tell you they do have an ultimate concern. Or maybe they don't recognize it, that they do. But all of us will tend to be guided by certain things, don't we, that we find are the driving forces in our lives, the things that somehow give a sense of meaning and purpose and direction. You know, your ultimate concern might be money or popularity. Who knows where you got your ultimate concern and I got mine? I'm not here to judge. My question is, how's it working for you? Is the Dr. Phil question. The issue of life is the same issue that we talk about as faith. And when we try to understand the paths that we take in life, it seems to me that often the same things that befall the people who talk about this in the spiritual and faith context and those who are, talking about just kind of life coaching are really talking about the same things, the same language often. We're just using different words to talk about something that's an experience. Now, we can get into big arguments and fights over all that language that people use. Language divides us all the time. In fact, Joseph Campbell has a great story where he says a bunch of Catholic priests and monks went to do a week of work of dialogue and spiritual practice with a group of Buddhist priests and monks. And after the week of spending time together with the priests all together and the monks over here all together, the priests came out and they said, we just didn't find anything we could agree on. And the monks came out and they said, we think basically we are having the same exact experience. Often the way language shapes things creates more divides, and that the experience that we are having seems to be what we all have to share. Maybe that's why Carl Jung said the best defense against a religious experience is religion. So somehow in this journey, our experience is where we find ourselves connecting. And often it's not experience that we talk about a lot, In fact, we use sometimes, Sylvan Tompkins once said, we use our words mostly to cover up what we're feeling than to really communicate it. Almost always, the more words that I'm speaking, the more I'm trying to kind of cover the feelings that I'm having than reveal them. And maybe that's true. Because when I begin to share with you what I'm really feeling, it can feel very vulnerable. It can feel very, sometimes, risky. Because like John Powell once said in his book, Why Am I Afraid to Tell You Who I Am? He said the answer to that question is, I'm afraid to tell you who I am because it's all I got. And you may not like who I am. So it's a whole lot better to produce a whole lot of facade and put out a lot of words and cover up what I'm really experiencing because it feels safer. During this season, we're focusing on this idea of the summer of love. So one of the things that has been helpful for me in my own life and spiritual journey has been the writings of Matthew Fox and his references to people like Meister Eckhart and earlier mystics of the Middle Ages who were looking at faith and life from this perspective of something a little different from what I got in my childhood and in Sunday school. A little different in its sense of the sacred being everything, all around me, and actually participating in how the divine is in all things, this different little way of thinking about things. And when Matthew Fox would begin to talk about where is my journey, where does my journey take me, how do I understand that journey, he began to take all of the work of these different mystics and particularly Meister Eckhart, and he said there's four paths to the spiritual life. He said there's the via positiva, that's the part of my life journey that's about showing up, entering in, and feeling the sense of yes of life, the awe, the wonder, the gift. The wonder, amazing thing about life is there's pleasure and there's this wonder experience. And allowing myself to enter into that is a part of my spiritual journey. That part of the spiritual path that knows how to savor what's good. And if I don't know how to savor what's good, I may find myself very lost along the way, with a lot of life flowing underneath the bridge. A lot of love wasted on the way. Because if I don't know how to really savor the gift of my life, I'm probably going to pass a lot of moments that were the gifts that were meant for me. The second path that he talks about is the via negativa. He says part of the journey is also recognizing the loss in life, the pain, the missteps, and opening ourselves to being honest about that. Honest about the pain of loss, the grief in life. That the journey involves, it's a part of the journey, it's built into the way of life that there will always be change. Whether that's change in families, loss of friends, loss of loved ones, to death, the grief of our own changes, the paths we weren't able to take. Being able to let that be and walk through that is a part of my spiritual journey. It's a part of my life. The third part is the via creativa. The via creativa is kind of like the passage that we read today, where Mary, kind of is told by Elizabeth, you're going to have a child, and that child is going to be really important. And you could say, from Matthew Fox's perspective, he would say, you're with child also. All of you. You're meant to bring into the world something precious, something really precious. How are you protecting that? How are you shaping that? How are you creating the environment for that? What is it in your life that you're bringing into the world, and how are you creating the space for that to happen? It's hard to make space for the via creativa in a life where you spend most of your time on Facebook. Hard to make room in your life for giving birth to something fresh and new that somehow life wants to bring through you into your world and your family and your community. If you're finding yourself always under too much other pressure to think about something else, how do you create a space? Robert Bly talks about it, that there's a point in our lives where we have to create a walled garden to protect the very tender plant. In the old days, he said, in the medieval times, they would always have the crops out in the field, but then there was the walled garden that had the more precious plants that needed a little bit more special care. Where's that place in your life? The via creativa is a part of our journey. What are you giving birth to? And if we're not giving birth to something, what may happen to us is we find ourselves somewhat stagnant. That's true, isn't it? If you're not walking that creative path in your own journey, you may find yourself quickly stagnant. That can be a very depressing place to be. And I often ask people who find themselves struggling with some kind of depression, what are you creating in your life? What do you feel a longing to build and do? Where did it get blocked? How do you break open the dams to that? Whether they're the dams of shame and embarrassment, or some critique that came along at some point in your life that shut you down. How do you break that open again? That may be the greatest spiritual moment you'll ever experience, to have your via creativa reopened. Someone once said the day you experience salvation will be the day someone tells you your story. And sometimes just somehow hearing someone say it's okay for you to be who you are, let your life live for what creative journey is yours. Maybe you're not a Monet or a Renoir with the way you do your art, whatever your art is. Maybe your art is people. Maybe your art is art. I don't know. But whatever that creative process in your life is, whatever shuts down those dams, how do you let that crack open again? Letting a little crack open to allow some of that to begin to flow again. I think that's salvation in the lives of those who awaken to it. And then there's the via transformativa, the fourth path, which Matthew Fox talks about as the path in which we're all called to somehow be a part of the work of building the kingdom, being a part. How is our work about helping the cosmic wheel turn, participating in that, and helping join in that. It's not that we have to do all the work. It's not that we have to somehow transform the world all on our own. It's just about how is it that in the work that I do, I'm a part of that. There's a wonderful Buddhist saying about one of the tenets of Buddhism is right livelihood. Sometimes we find ourselves working at and doing things that don't feed us, they don't feed anybody else, they are not bringing any more of the sense of wholeness to the world. And sometimes it's important to at least find how it is in the job that I do, the work I do every day, how am I participating in helping bring the world into some greater sense of wholeness? Asking myself those questions, it's really important to helping guide the journey that I'm on. So today, before I stop, I want to share a few thoughts about the Summer of Love, because the Summer of Love is all about the Via Positiva. And though we celebrate and walk the path of the 4 paths that we talk about, I walk those every day. Every day I walk into the day trying to awaken to wonder, that Via Positiva. Matthew Fox says, you know, don't start your day without the Via Positiva. You need the light to face the darkness. Don't go into the dark tunnel without a light. And especially if you're going to be having to deal with a lot of pain and suffering, if you're dealing with losses in your life, don't start that day without some awakening, some centering yourself in the sense of savoring the good. And if you find yourself in a place where you're so burned out that you have a hard time feeling any pleasure, feeling any joy, then it's really important to work hard at recovering that. Because if you can't feel and savor something about life, then you're a candidate for that slippery slope into bitterness and cynicism. We all have hurt and loss in our lives, don't we? We all struggle every day with the things in our own character that we wish we could change. We all face the real realities of other people in our lives suffering every day. And it's a challenge sometimes to let ourselves experience that sense of blessing, of enjoyment of life, sometimes in the midst of all of that. And yet it's so important. And we can become so lost if we don't stay awake to that part of us. Savoring something about life every day. How are you at savoring? How good are you at savoring? I'm sometimes good at savoring. It depends on what it is. Bacon, I'm really good at savoring bacon. In fact, I'm so good at savoring bacon, I know where the best BLT in the DFW area is. Cafe Express. But I won't say it because it's got to be the right kind of smoky bacon. It's got to not be just kind of plain old bacon. It's got to be really smoky. It can't be that little thin stuff. It's got to be a little thicker. It can't be too fatty or not fatty enough. It's got to be crisp but not burnt. I can savor bacon when it's right? I bet you can savor some things too. What I have a harder time sometimes savoring are those aspects of my experience every day that I see in a continual fashion. Except for bacon, who I see in continual fashion. Interestingly enough. No, I don't. Funny how when things are particularly special or new, it's easy to savor them. But there is a part of this whole experience of opening ourselves up to the Via Positiva, to this gift of life, and being filled with gratitude and awe and wonder that can happen only when we also begin to practice savoring those things that have become mundane, the everyday. Martha Smith emails me constantly. She sends me little messages. She wants to say, remember, it's the day to day. It's the moment to moment. It's important to have these experiences where even with the same people that I see every day, I can practice some sense of savoring those people, those family members, those loved ones. Even with my front lawn. I have a relationship with my front lawn that's not very good. I don't know, there's trees on everybody else's yards. My trees aren't big enough, don't get enough shade. My front it dries out. And I'm the only person on the street with dead grass on the front. And I'm sure everybody talks about me. They probably have neighborhood meetings. What's up with them? Can't keep grass alive, So I'm learning to savor the grass in my front yard. And see, I remember, do you remember a summertime where you went and laid in the grass? Did you ever do that? I'm not sure people do that so much anymore. It's fire ants. See, there's always something. I'm pretty sure they had ants when I was a kid too, I don't know. They're laying in the grass, looking up at the clouds rolling by overhead. You remember doing that? I used to lay in the grass. I would stare up, and especially if there were clouds kind of floating over, and I would just kind of lay there, and I would imagine that those clouds were standing still, and I was moving. The earth was moving. And I would get this wonderful sensation of the earth moving. Try it. It's pretty cool. That whole sense of relaxing into the gift of life, we so easily lose that savoring. But this summer of love is your invitation, you see, to see if you can push the boundaries of your capacity for savoring. In fact, we've got a little committee. Sharm is heading up a little committee. If you want to help out, you can. We're going to have the Summer of Love revival, which will probably not involve things that you're thinking of right now. And we're going to have this whole thing. There's going to be food. Even today, there's food here. We got bread. Feel free to come have some bread. Only if you can savor it. So when you come forward with your offering, which is also about savoring, because you see, that's also about saying thanks for all the stuff that I've experienced in the gifts in my life. But if you bring your offering up here, feel free to take a piece of this wonderful sourdough bread that I bought last night and have been resisting eating ever since. Because savoring and being thankful for this gift, this is a gift, right? Oh man, that smells good. There's also, for you gluten-free people, I got some apples. I would have cut them up, but you gluten-free people just probably want to eat the whole thing. So the idea I want to invite you to for this summer is this. If you spent 3 months from June 1st to the end of August doing nothing spiritually, reading nothing in the Bible, saying no prayers, but did nothing but practice trying to savor every inch, taste, sensation, to savor it, I want to suggest to you that God might be pleased. That all that is holy might be going, she's starting to get it. She's starting to wake up. She's starting to see this is a gift. Amen.
I kept thinking he was going to drop it back in the basket.
I know.
I'm not going to do any double dipping here. Come on forward as we're singing The Beauty of the Earth. For the beauty of the earth is our offering. If you have an offering, bring it forward as we're singing. Get some bread and an apple. For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies, over and around us lies. Lord, alone to thee we raise this our joyful hymn of praise. For the joy of human love, brother, sister, parent, child, friends on earth and friends apart, for all gentle thoughts and lives,
So we're at our time of blessing, and I know there are a number of things we want to just invite you to have in your hearts this week. If you give up praying, at least hold some people in your hearts. Particularly Eva, who has been a part of our community for quite some time, who is very, very ill. We have a little circle of care that we're creating for Eva because she has round-the-clock caregivers now at her home, but they need a break from time to time. And so if you'd like to help participate in that, we're going to gather back in the back by the soundboard right after the service. If you know Eva, you'd like to, a number of you have been wanting to try to help and offer help. We're going to be scheduling people every day to go by and just sit with her for a couple of hours, or to help run errands, do that kind of thing for them. It feels time's feeling a little short, and things. It's just a lot of strain on caregivers and that kind of stuff. We also want to recognize that Charlotte's mother is very ill, right? Did I get that right? Yes. Okay. Not okay, and so want to keep them in our prayers as well. Okay, anybody else got want to voice a name of anybody that we would hold in our hearts today?
Wes Simmons.
Okay. Gloria. Okay.
Charles, my daughter Brittany is headed to Thailand for 2 years to teach English.
Sending positive thoughts that direction. All the way to Thailand, yeah. Well, those not spoken that are in our hearts, we'll just share in those as well. One last word, we have a Roots of Change intensive. It's the once a year experience where we do Roots of Change in a brief time. It's a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. That's coming up in 2 weeks, and so if you haven't signed up for that, but you've been thinking about it, now's the time to do that. And if you want to learn more about that, you can also check the bulletin, and you'll see other announcements about that. And also, be sure you pick up this colorful little bulletin. It has all of the different activities going on around the church during the week and the coming month, including lots of things for kids and teenagers and all of that, and summer studies that are starting up soon. Okay, so let's take each other's hands. And we'll say a prayer. Summertime and the living is easy, Holy One. Feels like we ought to be down in New Orleans. It's so sweaty here anyway. You know, it's that heat that just kind of knocks the socks off of you, and there's part of you that just wants to stay inside and hide in the air conditioner and watch TV all summer long. But Holy One, how can we find life in escape? So we embrace the heat. Thanks. We love it. It's a gift. Thanks for the sun that makes it so hot this time of year. I guess we would be pretty lost without it. Help us to keep our lawns wet and our souls too. Awaken us to the gift of every moment and to shake off the numbness for the gift of everything. Amen.
There's too many things I haven't done, too many sunsets that I haven't seen yet. Can't waste the day wishing it would slow down. You would have thought by now I'd have learned something. Made up my mind when I was a to. I'll follow you, love. I do what I can wherever I end up. Keep giving my good love. I keep spreading it around. 'Cause I've had my fair share of take-cares and goodbyes. I've learned how to cry, and I'm better for that. How far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, many the miles. How far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles. Oh, but send me the miles, and I'll be happy to. Red letter day and I'm feeling blue. Just wishing that the blue would just carry me away. I've been talking to God. I don't know if it's helping, but surely something's got to give. Oh, 'cause I'm just waiting to live. How far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, many the miles. Oh, how far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles. Oh, but send me the miles, and I'll be happy to. How far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles. Oh, many the miles. How far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, oh, many the miles. How far do I have to go? Do I have to go just to get to you? Many the miles, oh, many the miles, many the miles, oh, many the miles. How far do I have to go to get to you? Many the miles, but send me the miles, and I'll be happy too. I'll follow you, love. There's too many things that I haven't done yet. Too many sunsets that I have